Hello all, back with another video. I'm Tmzoids. We're still working at the overlay as you can see right off the bat. So I'm just gonna keep using my league overlay. I apologize, we're still working at it, but I'll have an overlay for YouTube video soon. I know it's taking some time, but better make it perfect than make just a crappy one that just doesn't look that good and gonna have to replace or keep remaking it and keep changing it. So might as well make a good one so I don't have to replace it or change it anytime soon. But we're not actually going to talk about league-related content today. We're going to talk about overall video games, pretty much pay-to-win games, DLCs, pre-ordering games, and early access are main topics that I wanted to talk about today. I feel like this is a very dire need as of lately for video game players as myself and video gamers all over the world. I'm not the first person to talk about this. There are other people that are way more into detail and have a lot more background knowledge about this. One person that I can recommend right off the bat would be Total Biscuit. He's made multiple videos about this and complained and mentioned this multiple times. And I feel like he brings up a good point, and I just hopefully, if you don't know who Total Biscuit is and you stumble upon my video, hopefully I can give you a broad overview of what's going on or what my idea of what's going on is, and we can get more and more people knowledge about this topic because I feel like we're going down a dangerous path when it comes to video games as of lately. But first things first, I just want to talk about video games and pre-ordering. Back in the day, pre-ordering wasn't a big deal, and because you had names, brand names um, that brought good content. You had Bungie, you had BioWare, you had Naughty Dog, you had just all these great creators and great content makers that you pre-ordered game, even GTA 5, you had Rockstar. You just knew that they captured what video gamers wanted to see, what they thought a video gamer wanted to play. Now you have other creators who've, yes, been kind of shady as of lately and kind of give you a false idea of what the game's going to be before you even buy it. These are new creators, and it could be indie creators, or these could be name creators that we've trusted for a long time, but their trailers are getting more and more involved and more kind of misleading in a way. And like I said, multiple people have talked about this, but one of the ideas would be Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs blew many people away. The trailer was just amazing. They gave you these phenomenal graphics and this just gameplay that you thought you could, hack into this and do this and all this great stuff that you thought you would see in the game. And then when people bought the game and actually saw the game, the graphics were subpar. They weren't that great. The gameplay was okay. There was a lot of glitches and kind of areas which kind of made the game not as great as it looked. And this happens with a lot of games. And it's always funny. People always complain about using like real life characters in trailers when it comes to video games. They actually want to see um, actual video game content. But one trailer that comes to mind that just blew us away, that really at the beginning didn't really show us a lot of video game content, would be Halo. Halo, if you don't remember, the trailer of nukes falling or bombs falling, and the person's right there, and then they pick up their mask and they're like, "Oh man, what's this?" That's not real gameplay. That is like real characters, and they pick up the mask and then they come out of it kind of, and then you kind of go into the gameplay. So it's a give or take. I know a lot of times I don't think the whole trailer should be people or real life, when the trailer shouldn't be as misleading as it should be, and that comes a problem right now of pre-ordering games because you're really not buying what you're getting. You're spending that 60 bucks or you're spending that extra $10 for early access or pre-ordering, which is bad, which is why I wanted to bring up this topic is early access. On Steam, this is really popular. You can buy a game, you can pretty much buy early access, but early access has come to kind of a bad part for video game developers. They release a game that pretty much has a platform, few characters, and then maybe a few objectives, maybe not even objectives, but you could walk around. Most recent one is H1Z1. The early access is pretty much a platform of you and your character with a flashlight. And you're walking around this platform. The zombies don't really attack you. They're there, but they don't attack you. You punch a bear, the bear doesn't attack back. You can kill a bear, you don't get anything from it. You search everything. There's nothing finding search. You find empty weapons and guns there, and they also have a pay-to-win kind of ordeal within the early access. They're like, oh, well, if you spend an extra couple dollars, you can get a gun, you can get some bullets, and you're like, that's not early access. Early access should be a game that's ready, complete, already done to give the people who pay for early access the game content what they've made altogether, not beta testers. Beta and alpha testers are completely different than early access. Early access means the game's done, should be done, maybe a few glitches that they can fix before they go live, but ultimately the story's done, the outline, the you know, overall objectives are done, complete. Things are in where they're supposed to be, searching boxes, guns, weapons, all that jazz, and you shouldn't have a pay-to-win service. Which goes me to my next topic. Pay-to-win games kind of started with, I guess, Facebook. You would start playing games, and Farmville would be a popular one, and all these other games. And you could buy these great things, just for $5. Get a few extra gems for $5. You don't want to wait, get $5. And that's what they do. They pretty much give you a start off. They're like, okay, build this village, build this, build that, and then they screw you over, and they're like, all right, this is gonna take 4 days to make, and you're like, what? 4 days? Yeah, but if you use 25 gems, you can easily get it. So pay-to-win games are kind of unfair. People have money, I guess they're more successful in the game. But it kind of hooks you. It gets you going, and it really ruins video games overall. It just seems that it's a bad way to go. Very bad way. Because more and more games are doing this, I feel, and it's leaking into our video games. Like I said, H1Z1, you shouldn't have a pay to win. You shouldn't be like, all right, if you spend an extra $10, you can get a gun. No, a game should be already complete. You should be able to do the same amount of games, and the perfect example would be League of Legends, actually. But you should have a game and a content where you don't need to pay to win or pay for extras. I guess another good example for pay to win would be Hearthstone. If you don't play a lot of Hearthstone, you don't grind out Hearthstone. Um, you gotta win 3 before you get like 10 gold, but it costs like 100 gold for a pack. So you can spend like $20 on packs and buy cards, and you can be more successful in Hearthstone. But for League of Legends, they give you the game, they give you the content, and then yeah, you can look nice with a skin, you can buy a skin, but ultimately you don't need to wait, you don't have to pay for anything to be more successful or better at the game than anybody else. But last but not least was DLCs. DLCs are a very important aspect of now. When DLCs first came out, they were going in the right direction. They kind of added on to the story. It didn't take away from the story. And I think we've lost that also. But when DLCs first came out, for games that you already played or games that were great already and had a great storyline and great, you know, just were ultimately great games overall, whatever way you look at a game. A DLC would come out and you'd be just an addition to this great game. You already finished the story, but you can now download this DLC and maybe get an extra map or do some extra missions, but ultimately the game's complete, done. Now, as we move forward, it seems that DLCs are a way to rob more money out of you and get more out of your bang for your buck when it comes to games. You already spend $60 on a game that you think is pretty good or will be pretty good, and the game comes short. The game doesn't finish its story, it doesn't finish what it's going to give to you, and it kind of leaves you hanging. You're like, oh, I have a lot of questions. They leave you in suspense, and maybe that can set you up for a different game. Instead, what a creator does, or business does is they give you 4 DLCs, 4 different ones. They're like, all right, we're gonna give you 5 more missions, and we're gonna give you 2 more maps, and we're gonna give you another character if you download this DLC. And these DLCs aren't cheap. These are $10, $15, maybe even $20. These aren't cheap DLCs, and they are now more adding to the story, which should be already in the game. The game should be complete, done, before you even finish buying the game, and that is what's scary about it now. I think it's a big urgency. I think we should focus more on making sure we hold content creators responsible for good games, finished games. Like I said before, early access. You're paying for early access, so you shouldn't have to, you know, be a beta tester. You're not a beta tester. You're not an alpha tester. Beta tester and alpha tester. Alpha is like when the game first comes out, there's going to be like tons of glitches, but you're like the first group to go in and pretty much explore what was going on. And a beta tester is like, okay, we fixed most of the issues, but there's still some issues. Run wild and let's see how our servers run, and then we'll fix that, and then we'll go live and or early access, depending which way you go. And then early access should come. Early access should be like, all right, there may be 1 or 2 issues, but it's not going to affect. The game's pretty much complete overall, and when I say pretty much, really like 95 to 97% complete. You can do missions. People interact. There's not just a platform with people on it, with some objects that you put there and some things you can search in, and the game's incomplete, like H1Z1. And you know, adding a pay to win is even worse. Like, how can you incorporate all these? So now, how I see it, a video game's going to start like this. They're going to tell you early access. They're going to get away from betas and alphas. They're going to tell you early access. People are going to pay for early access because they give you these kind of above and beyond trailers to get into the game, and it's not that great. Now you already paid for the game, but now you're in the game and it's not that great. And you're in early access, so now you're a beta tester. You've paid them to test their game, pretty much. And now you have to wait till the actual platform's done and complete, and they actually go live with the game, which could be a whole year, if not longer, depending on how much they have to do to the game. Like H1Z1, it does not look anywhere completely done. There's nothing in, like I said, nothing in any of the boxes. There's nothing, the zombies don't interact with you, bears don't interact with you. You get a gun, it's empty, there's no bullets. You go inside. The only thing that's interacting with you is other people in the game that paid for early access. Within your early access, they're going to tell you to pay to win now. So now they're implementing pay to win. So now you have to pay to get a gun. You have to pay for these objectives you should be able to search for and get within the game without making the game giving you an unfair advantage. You should have an equal advantage in a video game. And then later down the line, lackluster graphics, you go and they give you, the game comes up short. You know, you come up short, and what happens is you end up paying for DLC packages now. Now just using, I'm not saying H1Z1 is doing this, but I'm just going to use them as an example because they're the most recent example. They give you a half-assed game and they're like, all right, to finish the story and or missions, we're going to give you a DLC pack, or we're going to an expansion. And, there's a difference between expansion or DLC pack, like I said back in the day. DLC pack kind of just added on to it, added to the experience. It wasn't part of the experience and trying to get you for your money. Now it's going down this line that it's urgent. This is something that is seen more and more, and people need to call them out. They need to show videos. People need to they speak their mind. Keep content creators on par, like on their coattails, as I said before in other videos. Do not just let this happen. Don't let it, oh yeah, we're okay with this. It's okay. It's just one DLC. Because if one DLC happens, the next time you need 2 DLCs, and then you keep going down the line. But overall, I think, early access, it's not bad. Pay-to-win games aren't bad, you know, the Facebook games, yada yada yada, but they shouldn't be implemented into a full video game like H1Z1 or any game within early access beta or, oh, beta is okay, I guess, beta or alpha. But pay-to-win should not be implemented in any video game down the line. It should give you the complete story and give you the same advantages as anybody else playing. Pre-ordering games are okay, but misleading trailers a little bit. We talked about Watch Dogs. Just be careful, you know. Make sure people know this. You know, early content creators that get early access. Yeah, follow those journalists. Follow Total Biscuit. Follow other journalists that explore new games, explore indie games, explore popular games that can or and will use this to their advantage. And last but not least, you don't want DLCs to add to the story. You want DLCs that add to the story. You don't want them part of the story. You're not paying a $60 game to pay another $40 or whatever, however much you need to finish the game. You should, if you buy the game, it should be already complete, done, and DLC is just something extra that you can use or do to uh, benefit your advantage. Well, that is it. If you enjoy this video, you can follow me on my Facebook and Twitter. Make sure you follow or subscribe. Leave a comment down below. And that is it. Thanks, all.